Brian, do we have anybody for public input?
Council. We had a tree come down on Hurd Street Saturday night during a rainstorm. And I want to give kudos to the fire department. They did a very coordinated effort of getting it cut up and stuff. The highway department brought in pieces of equipment, a payloader, clamshell bucket on it to lift the tree up out of the way, bring it around, swing it around, get the road opened up, everything else cleaned up. It was a very coordinated effort, and also with National Grid, and both the fire department and the highway department really worked well together. I watched them from my house. It was 25 feet away from my house. And one of the firemen came over and told me I had to stay back away. And I understood that, but he just wanted to make sure. And I got to talking to him in regards to bomb trains, which me and you have been discussing. And I have extra pamphlets for everybody to get if you want one. And what this is about is the fact that they're rebuilding the railroad tracks coming through North Tonawanda, Buffalo, Wheatfield, all the way to the Whirlpool Bridge. These bomb trains are full of Bakken oil that is more explosive than gasoline. And when they derail, because they're so heavy, going around curves is where they're mostly derailing at. They're limited to 40 miles an hour. In Oregon, it came off along the Columbia River at 26 miles per hour. So they're rebuilding these railroads where these trains are going. And they're going to be taking these trains across the Whirlpool Bridge. It was built in 1885. Me and Mr. Cliff had a conversation a few weeks ago about this, and a couple of other things that come to national security, and I'm going to the Homeland Security in regards to it about the Whirlpool Bridge and stuff, but that's beside the point. They're going to be bringing these cars through Wheatfield. They have a 1 mile blast radius. Wednesday, I'm going with Buff State College, and the Sierra Club has asked me to go along with them to talk to the first responders in Cheektowaga, Depew area, because that's where the Depew station, the Cheektowaga, that's where the trains first enter into the Buffalo market at, and then they get distributed out of here and they get sent on to Albany at this point. But they're going to turn them around and head them up through here over the Whirlpool Bridge and then get them up so they can go to Nova Scotia and be transported overseas. So we're in the way of these bomb trains that are, if one of them goes off the rail, you evacuate everybody who isn't dead, okay, and you let it burn for 3 to 4 days. There isn't enough foam in western New York and central New York to put out one car.
John, you're well over 3 minutes.
Yes.
Can you close? Thank you.
Not a problem.
I may have seen my first bomb train the other day because I was over at the Gratwick Park, the field days that they had, healing field days that they had. And I got stuck by a train coming through, and there might have been 2 or 3 dozen unmarked cars, tank cars on that.
What they are, DOT 111, they're not designed for it. They have to redesign them. There's 300,000 to 400,000 of these cars going throughout the United States every day being moved around. They're even more dangerous empty, but they're not derailing because they're not as heavy. But if they fumes on the inside of them, they'll go up like scrap metal, like a grenade.
Thank you, John.
Yes, it's very important. I have some extra copies of this. Do you guys want a copy of this?
I still have it available upstairs too. Brian, who's next?
No, this is the new. This is the very good explanation.
Lori?
I just wanted to ask if you've had a response yet from Ag and Market. Response to your letter in June?
I think we had a
No response? All right, thank you.
We have had stuff coming in from Ag and Markets, and I'll explain it later, but it had nothing to do with, we have had some information from Ag and Markets. I got a letter today, and I'll explain that, but it had nothing to do with Quasar. Ryan? Jason?
Good evening, Council.
Long
How are you?
time no see.
Yeah, well, thank you for letting me speak tonight, first of all. I wanted to bring to your attention, about a year ago this month, I wrote a letter to Senator Robert Ortt, Assemblyman John Soretto, and Legislator Catherine Lance, under the direction of Mr. Howig and Mr. Doucette to go to them. My concern is the speed limit on Shawnee Road, the fact that it is 55 miles an hour. I live in a cul-de-sac called Nottingwood Drive, and the speed limit there is 50 miles an hour. I have a lot of friends, and this is a high tax-paying area that I just don't want to see forgotten. I have 3 daughters that will be driving. One will be driving in 2 years from now, and I'm worried about her getting onto Shawnee Road to go to Star Point High School. In light of the fact that there was 2 fatalities on Shawnee Road, I sent this letter to Channel 4 or 7, and Channel 7 had me on the news that day because only Assemblyman John Soretto actually replied to the letter. This letter was mailed, like I said, 1 year ago, and one of the highlighted paragraphs I'd like to say is, again, I wish to put you on notice of the dangers of these high speeds as fatality is certain to happen. As Mr. Howig suggested, I put them on notice. One of them responded with a letter in courtesy saying that he'll write a letter to the DOT. The other 2 ignored it, which is why Channel 4 came to my house, Channel 7. Channel 4 asked me for an interview, and I know that you, my councilman, my elected officials, are steering me in the right direction. So I don't throw people under the bus, but the people that didn't reply to my letter, I'm a little perturbed. Like, for example, Catherine Lance and Robert Ortt. Now, they have phoned me back since, but only John Soretto has sent a letter to the DOT, and he asked them, because they do a traffic study every 3 years, and they've done one saying that the traffic flows at 55 miles an hour, so there's no need to slow it down. That's what the response was from them. He asked them to do the study again because it was only 1 year old, and it's going to have to be sped up. So at least John Soretto is doing something to make this happen. But I was informed that your board could request, a request from the town could go to the County of Niagara to do a TR9 form to New York State DOT for a recommendation for speed limit to be lowered. I feel 45 at most would be safe. In rush hour, you cannot pull out of these cul-de-sacs onto Shawnee Road when there's a 55 mile an hour car coming down, let alone when there's inclement weather and my daughter's trying to go to school. I want to protect her when this time comes. And the fatalities will continue to happen. There are other accidents from rear-ending, and I think not only speed limit is good, but also hopefully to maybe put a turning lane in. I know this is a state road and your hands are tied, but please, I'm asking you, and I've emailed you, some of you, to put in the TR9 form, request from the state to do a survey on this, so that in 2 years, my daughters aren't the ones dealing with fatality or hitting somebody else and then having to live with that tragedy. If you could do that, I'd appreciate it very much. I know that my time is up, but I would also like to bring up the fact that I have also requested a stop sign in our cul-de-sac in there, and I was told that there was not enough budget. We can't put stop signs on a place where there's a T. I got all sorts of excuses, and I have emailed back, and I'll be emailing you all on that as well, as that concern. So I just thank you for your time and let you know that these are a couple traffic issues that I would like to see some attention to. Thank you for your time.
Just to add real quick to what Jason, because Larry and I were at Jason's house, talking to him about it. He doesn't want, you're not asking for the whole Shawnee Road. It's just the busy part of it, from Niagara Falls Boulevard to Spice Creek or Thornwoods, right?
Yeah, actually, the cul-de-sac, the last one is called Wild Wing, and it is Wild Wing Drive. And at that point, my wife's good friend and her children pull out of there every day at 55 miles per hour, from a dead stop to 55 miles per hour. So I'm talking about from there to just past those cul-de-sacs. Remember, this road was designed for people to move from North Tonawanda to Lockport. It was a farm road, but now it is residential. Where I have looked at Google Maps, there are 500 residences, many of which are $200,000 to $300,000 to $400,000 homes. Residences pour onto this road on a daily basis. 500 homes between Clemmer, Spice Creek, and I've listed all these things in my emails. And I just want you to know when Channel 4 asks me if you guys are responding, I know that Mr. Howard said he'll hopefully support a motion for this. And really, it's the state people, the legislators that I've gone to, that have not responded. Their negligence is responsible for deaths like this. So I really hope that we can be proactive and avoid future ones, okay? Thank you very much for your time.
And just said, I'd like to make a motion that we ask the supervisor's office to write a letter to the DOT asking them for some speed control studies from the Niagara Falls Boulevard on Shawnee to Loveland Road on Shawnee.
I'll second it.
Yeah, River Road's probably worse. We do have a motion, we do have a second. I would like to mention at this time that, as I said at the last meeting, I would try to pull together a meeting with DOT. I did meet with Thomas Masana, who is the head of their safety division, as well as Angelo Borghese, who is responsible for doing the studies that you're talking about, Jason. They sat and they listened to what Paul and I, and there was one of the local residents who lives very near where the accident occurred, and we talked about several things. They do feel very strongly, they have done the studies over and over again in that area, and their claim is that if traffic is traveling, if 85% of the traffic, they talk about the 85th percentile, if 85% of the traffic is riding at or below a given number, that's what they set it at. And that's why Shawnee is still 55. As you get farther down, people do slow down. But every road has a natural speed, and it's set by the people that drive. And they have studied Shawnee recently. Do you remember, Paul, how many years ago it was? Because we asked for this about, we went through this 3 or 4 years ago. There weren't any deaths at the time. Secondly, you said Senator Ort didn't do anything. Senator Ort was in the paper as noting that he is asking DOT for a full study of the road. So that's been done as well. After the fatality occurred, that's correct. So it's not that we're not doing anything. We're really limited as to what we can do. We asked them to take a look at other things, like coming down the hill by the White Linen Tea House. That's tough in the wintertime. Is there something we could put at the top of the hill to try and slow people down? He says signs won't slow people down. The nature of the road is what sets the speed of the road. And even if you enforce, once you stop enforcement, within a week people are right back up to traveling at the speed that feels comfortable on that road, and that's why they set it where they set it. They will be reviewing that whole section for anything that they think that they can do better that might make it safer. They do feel that they're very limited in the tools that they have to do so.
Very response. I've often spoken and people just ignore me and move on, and the response is very valuable. Thank you for your time. If I may just point out, the Decorative Expressway is a perfect case in point to utilize. 55 miles an hour, cars would drive 60 through there, and they did, until there was a death, and they loaded into the lane. Please utilize that as a stepping stone, if you will, to enable you to say, here's a perfect example. Lives are lost. And as low as 55 there, they're loading to 35. I'm not even asking for that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Brian? Is there anybody else that wishes?
Bob, we had a motion.
Okay, I'm sorry. We do have a motion. Anybody on the question? Your motion, Larry.
We usually do these one road at a time, but I don't mind adding in a second road, if we could do that, Supervisor.
Well, it would have to be different, because it's already 45, isn't it?
River Road is 45.
That's what,
They slowed down the traffic in
to
North
reduce it.
Tonawanda and
Yeah.
Niagara Falls, but left Wheatfield at 45 miles an hour.
The last time we did this, about 2 or 3 years ago, they took North Tonawanda to 55 and lowered it to 45.
Yep.
But we were asking them to do a study. I mean, I don't mind if we want to include River Road on that same motion. I'll change my motion to include.
Okay, Gil, it was your second?
yes.
Okay, then with the modified motion, is there anything further on the question? Yeah, it's pretty much got to be the whole
North Tonawanda
thing.
city line to the Niagara Falls city line.
The worst area is where it goes from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. That's craziness in there.
NASCAR, pits lanes.
It's crazy.
And you still got people going 45 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour on the outside.
And the one on the right side always needs to get in front. Okay, anything further? All in favor of asking DOT for review on these 2 roads? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. So that's it for public speaking. Does anybody wish to speak on any other subject? If not, Kathy, all board members are present. We do have a set of minutes, gentlemen, from the August 22nd meeting. Does someone want to move those in for approval?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Larry, second by Art. Anything on the question? Anything anybody wishes to change? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's also approved. Vouchers, we have a total of $268,640.86. The voucher numbers are 2016-0717 to 1834. I need a motion to pay these bills.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Randy, second by Gil. Anything on the question? Any bills anybody wishes to hold? If not, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. Departments, Paul? Thank you, Paul. Anything for Paul? Rich isn't here. I'm guessing he's down at the end of the street because there's a big hole at the end of the street. Recreation, Mike?
Hello, just a couple of quick hitters. Youth Center nightly programming back in session tonight. We run that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then on Saturdays are 11 to 3. Our ladies exercise classes will begin this week, I believe tomorrow night, again at the youth center. And then the date for the Halloween party, I had posted originally it to be October 22nd. That was an error on my part, my bad. It's actually going to be the 29th at 6 p.m. It's a Saturday evening. So that's all I got.
Okay. Anything for Mike?
Heard some comments about your summer camp for the kids, Mike. Nothing but positive. Good job again this year.
Okay, Mike Clark, building inspector. I'm not, but it's good to know that they're going to be done this year. That's critical. And we do appreciate your acting as clerk of the works on that. Bridget? Nothing from the assessor? Anything for Bridget or Mike? I should have
From Mike, on the concrete, we talked about redoing some of the concrete work in front of the town hall. Are we making any progress on that? Tom Stefano.
Is it?
Yep.
Arlene? Okay. Anything for Arlene? Thank you. We're up to Wendell. Tim?
Thank you. First item on our agenda this evening is a motion that's in our packet for when we get to motions. And what that is for is permission from the board to solicit quotes for the 2016 I&I corrective action work. That's inflow and infiltration. That's part of the monies that are reimbursed from the Niagara County Sewer District. The last meeting we requested and were authorized to prepare the quote documents, so now they're ready. We hope to go to get those quotes out tomorrow. Within 2 weeks, have those in so that by the October 3rd meeting, we can be ready to recommend award to that. So that motion is upcoming. Are there any questions on that? Okay, I know I'm going to disappoint people, but the second item on our agenda, we're going to withdraw and wait for the next meeting. So the applicant did not get in all the required information. So we have nothing else this evening.
So the only motion you're proposing then is the one for Moyer Road Pump Station?
Yes, sir.
Should I make the motion now, Bob, or later?
If you wish, you certainly can.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, this is the motion to authorize Wendell to solicit quotes for relining the Moyer Road Pump Station. Randy made the motion. We do need a second.
Second.
Second, I guess, by Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Are we going to be able to get that done this year?
Oh, absolutely. I think we have in our contract documents for work to be substantially complete by the end of November, I think, at the latest.
Got that. Good.
Yeah, it doesn't really take them too long to get in there and do it.
Okay, Matt, I believe we're on other motions.
Yes. First motion I have is from, other than was already covered, from the Budget Director. I will read the first part and the rest will be as presented. Motion to approve amendments to the 2016 General Fund budget to provide for the Justice Court State Grant to be used for the purchase of equipment and for state grant reimbursement for bulletproof vests to be used for additional public safety expense as presented in the motion packet.
So moved.
Moved by Gil. I'll go ahead and second. This is just putting grant monies into a line so it can be expended. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion from the Recreation Department to hire Karen Rafter as ladies exercise instructor and Melissa Durfee as a Zumba instructor pursuant to the terms and rate of pay as indicated by the job specification. Said appointments are subject to Human Resource Department approval and Niagara County Sheriff's Department criminal background checks.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Larry, second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved.
Next motion again from the Recreation Department to authorize the Recreation Department to purchase timbers and a ramp to make the playground at Mario Park more secure and more inclusive to all individuals at a cost of $4,279.81 from Miracle Recreation Company. Said cost dispersed from the Rec Department's 2016 budget.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Gil, second by Randy. Anything on the question? Mike, what would the ramp be used for? What piece of equipment? Pardon? Yeah, well, that much I figured. For which piece of equipment over there? Anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is, it'll be as presented, but it's with regard to, secret a negative declaration for the airport overlay, protection district, indicating a negative declaration.
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is, and again, as presented in the package, because it is lengthy with the new statute, but that is regarding, now that the seeker has been completed, the approval of local law number 3, 2016, with regard to establishment of the airport protection overlay district.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion again.
Second.
Second by Larry. Anything on the question here? This is something we've been working on for some time. It's been handled by the task force primarily, and one of the focus groups. It puts into town code rules that are out there to make it easier for persons to find that these rules exist. And we're not doing anything, we're not changing anything, we're not adding anything other than the fact that it's now in town code. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, next motion, and again, it will be as presented, as it is lengthy, containing the amendment to the RR zoning district allowing agricultural uses as was omitted when it was previously established. There's already been a public hearing for this, and SECR has already been approved on this with a negative declaration.
Do we have a mover?
So moved.
Moved by Art. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved.
Next motion is a motion regarding street lighting, and I'll read that in full. It's lengthy. Whereas during the prior reconstruction by the Department of Transportation of the State of New York, the street light at the prior corner of Kruger and Niagara Falls Boulevard was not moved, and as such, the prior existing light post is not in optimum position to provide lighting at said current intersection. Whereas the New York State Department of Transportation indicates at this time they have no plans for moving or supplementing said street light. Whereas a supervisor in the town board of the town of Wheatfield desire to improve lighting at said intersection, now therefore be it resolved that is approved that the town supervisor is authorized to enter into an agreement with National Grid to provide for street light relocation or a supplementation of a new street light at corner of current intersection of Kruger and Niagara Falls Boulevard. Is authorized that said light be of a high pressure sodium light or LED light for the board to determine, and the town supervisor is authorized to execute any agreement necessitating the light pole installation.
At this moment in time, National Grid still has not given me the cost to pull down the existing light and move it. We do have the cost of putting up new. If we want to go ahead and put up new right now, we can do that, but we can't make a decision as to whether to move the light or pull down the old light at this time, so that might affect your motion. Or we can hold until we do get pricing.
If you need a motion, why don't we hold until we get the prices, so we know what we're talking about.
Does anybody wish to move? If not, then we'll put this one on hold for now.
I'm just wondering, yes, I'm in agreement, but with, if we would go to an LED light and leave the other light as a sodium, would that be confusing to traffic if we elected to ever go this route?
The only way we'll know is by putting one up, because we have no way of knowing what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm just wondering with one LED and one sodium.
Maybe you've seen them in other towns. I've never noticed anything that I would know to be a LED. National Grid will be changing over to LED lighting over time. It's not gonna all happen at once unless we choose. We actually could do it all at one time, but we would have to pay the bill.
I'm fine with holding
We would
anyhow.
get the saving over time, but we would have to pay the bill up front. Okay, so we'll hold it for now. Okay, Matt?
Next motion is to approve and authorize the town supervisor to enter into an agreement with Modern Disposal Services, Inc. to extend the current municipal solid waste collection, hauling, and disposal and recycling agreement originally made on January 1st, 2012, for a final 2-year extension, renewal commencing January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2018.
Maybe before we move, Joe Hickman is here this evening. Joe, is there anything you would like to say about this? Joe is the salesman on this project for Modern. This would be the 8th and 9th year on this contract?
Yes, Supervisor, thank you for the opportunity to speak to town board. We're hoping that you'll take into consideration and approve the extension. It is the final 2 years of our agreement, and I think it would be in the best interest of the town, based on the market pressure upward in terms of price compared to what the town is currently paying. I think it would be financially in the best interest of the town to extend for the final 2 years. Under the same terms and conditions, minus the recycling rebate, all other items that are contained in the current contract, such as the scrap tire disposal, roll-off services, portable toilets, and those items would remain in place for the balance of the contract extension. And I'm here if there's any questions that any of the board members would happen to have on our current service or contract. I'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Joe.
Now, I have a question. The $30,000 that'd be gone, but
Yeah.
if the recycling did generate some revenue, would we still receive something a bit less than $30,000, or is there a chance that there is money to be had in the recycling business, or is that a zero?
It is a zero unless the town wants to enter into a risk-reward program, such as that the town of Amherst and other municipalities are considering, Larry, whereby the town would pay a processing fee for all materials received, and you would get 100% of the market value of that material. There is a risk and a reward. You're going to be paying for the process. If the market goes up, you'll get a rebate. You'll get the full 100% of the market value for the materials processed. If the market goes down, then it's just like a stock market. You're investing your money in the stock market. If it goes up, you win. If it goes down, you lose.
How about what we're allowed to put in our green recycling container? Does anything change there?
No, nothing's changing.
Would you still pick up recycling since you won't be paying us for it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's going to continue. Yeah.
Or we could
We
just
actually
use
do
them as
pay for
garbage cans,
recycling.
right? Because
I'm not
we're
going to
not gonna
advocate
get nothing.
the interest of the town and its residents to continue to recycle.
Yeah, the more we recycle, the less tonnage goes in the landfill.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've actually benefited quite a bit by the recycling program.
Yeah, absolutely. You were benefiting when we were not, and certainly the market economics are just not allowing that to continue. Again, there is a risk-reward that the town could certainly entertain. Again, I will share with you that if the market does go down, like the stock market, because these are commodities that are bought and sold on the stock market, so when they do go down, you would be paying us the process regardless of the market, whether it's in favor or not in favor of the town.
Now, do you take any electronics at all, like televisions, or no?
No.
We have to still send those through our water.
However you're dealing with those electronics currently, you would have to continue.
So white goods, refrigerators, washer, dryers, microwaves, you still take those?
Absolutely. Anything that is currently being picked up by our company, we will continue. That fundamentally is not changing. The only thing that would be changing is a rebate for the material.
This $30,000 is just due to the price of scrap tumbling down. That's correct, so that people understand why we're losing the $30,000?
Well, it was part of the original contract, and it was, if I may say, one of those challenges that we faced. We thought that the market would support it. Unfortunately, during the original terms of the contract, the market wouldn't support it, so we were always underwater. But during the terms of the contract, we continued to obligate ourselves to that requirement. We're just asking it to be removed for the final 2 years. And I think even with the removal of that rebate, and the price that the town is paying us for all other services, you're still in a positive situation against the market. You might not look at your budget and consider that as a positive, but against the market, you are in a positive situation.
So this new contract starts January 1, 2017?
The final 2 years of the extension, yes.
So we will receive our $30,000 for 2016.
Yes. Yes. No
Okay,
questions?
we do not have a motion yet, gentlemen. Does somebody wish to make that motion?
I'll second. I'll second.
I think I heard, Randy. Okay, we have a motion. Is there anything further on this question? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Joe.
Next motion is to award the Jago Road Pump Station Rehabilitation Project to SPC Construction, Inc. for their low bid of $255,200 in reliance of the recommendation of GHD Consulting Services, Inc.
Rich isn't here to make the recommendation. Are you from GHD? Okay. Dave couldn't be here tonight, so the gentleman sitting in, if anybody has any questions before we proceed, it's quite a bit of money. This is the second of 2 rebuilding projects that we're doing this year. Does anybody have any questions for GHD?
Yes. Is construction management already included in this price?
Construction management is a separate contract with the town.
Did we already approve that, or are you?
That's already been approved to my knowledge, yes.
Yes, sir.
I
don't think so.
recall.
Well,
I don't recall it.
I don't think that's
It's not my department. I'm strictly the construction administration, and management.
I think you need to go back to your management and tell them we haven't approved construction.
Well, this portion of it, I believe, was within the original design.
Well, this is the actual
Right.
recommendation of the bidder to go to work. If we approve this tonight, then we'll be coming back in the next week or so with a whole big pile of books.
And we'll make sure Dave's here.
So who's overseeing the project?
Dave is the manager for it. I will oversee the construction and day-to-day operations of, yes.
Question I have for you, what's the time frame for this?
Unfortunately, I don't have that with me, but we anticipate procurement to take several months for the project. The long lead item for the pump and tank equipment.
And the actual construction portion would be
I would,
while you're waiting for the pump to come in?
yeah, well, while there'd be some minor construction, some paving, some of the road work adjacent to it, but really can't be too much done until the equipment for the tank gets there.
You can't afford to shut the project down while we're waiting.
Unfortunately not.
That wouldn't be advisable. Okay, we do not have a motion. Gentlemen, does anybody wish to make a motion to proceed?
I'll make a motion to proceed to award the contract.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Gil. Anything further on the question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, you can let Dave know. Thank you.
The next motion is to authorize and direct the town highway department to remove the curb median at the entrance to Spice Creek at Shawnee Road and thereafter pave over the location where the curb median was located.
I'll go ahead and make this motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Gil. What's happening here is the median that has been at Spice Creek for quite a while had an accident a couple of years ago. The sign was broken. There's some damage done to the median, and it either needs to be refurbished or needs to be torn out. The people in the area took it upon themselves to walk around and get 188 signatures from people in the Spice Creek area. According to the people I talked to, there were only 4 persons that said no, they didn't want to have it taken out. I've talked to Paul. Paul also agrees that it's a good idea, and taking it out makes his life easier, the snowplow operator's life a lot easier. So we're here to decide to go ahead and pull it down or we're gonna have to be ready to fix it up next year. Anything further on the question? All in favor of, allowing Paul to replace it? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion, again, from the Highway Department to accept Dayfort's truck and auto repair, the low bid in the amount of $9,668 to paint the town's Mack Lowboy tractor. Said bid was the lowest of three obtained and would be expensed from the Highway Department's 2016 budget.
Anybody wish to make that?
I'll make that motion.
Art, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. How old is this vehicle now? Somehow I don't think you and I will be here 25 years from now working on it.
Do we have to put, town decals or logos on it, or will that be a little? That's why I haven't put them on the tractor yet, because I said I'm not gonna spend $200 in detail. Okay. Show them off, if I can get, we're gonna get the paint stuff. So yes, there will be some details on it, and we'll be painted, blue bus yellow and town with the highway department color.
Anything further? If not, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved, Paul.
Next motion, again from the Highway Department, to approve the request of the Highway Department Superintendent to accept the 3-year snow and ice contract agreement with Niagara County beginning October 1st, 2016, subject to review by the town attorney, which I have done at this point.
I'll go ahead and make the motion. Need a second.
Second.
Second by Larry. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
And then I have one further late motion from the Director of Personnel. It's to accept and approve the contract with the Sanborn Pekin Library for a period of 3 years.
We need a motion.
Any dollar figures with it?
Yeah, you have a copy of the actual contract, or you should have a copy of the actual contract tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, on that one, okay.
Okay. Moved by Larry. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That is approved.
That is it for the motions, yes.
Okay, board member items. Councilman Helwig.
Yes, one item here. The minimum wage is going up December 31st at the end of the year. And because of that, we have in the town what's called a casual workers wage table. So all of our part-time seasonal people get paid off of this. So, and Mike, probably the benefactor having most of those employees. But there's a new table. Our personnel manager, Vince, approved this, and Mary Beth looked it over. So the new wage table reflects about a 50-cent an hour increase in minimum wage, going up to $9.70 on December 31st. So I would ask approval of this so that everyone knows what the new wages going into next year will be.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay, Larry made the motion. We do need a second.
Second.
Second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
That's all I have for tonight.
Okay, Councilman Doucette.
Nothing tonight.
Councilman Gerbeck.
Quiet evening.
Good news. Councilman Retzlaff?
Nothing.
Well, sorry. I mentioned before that I did get a letter today from Ag and Markets. I barely have read it at this point. It commends the town board on developing a town farmland protection program. It encouraged us in maintaining the agricultural focus group that's been headed up by Randy for the last couple of years, and they've been doing a great job. It suggests we start looking at an AC zone, that's agricultural conservation zone. And I think we're going to need some more help on that, and I suspect that the Ag group will be working on that. And they're also recommending in here that we take a look at TDRs, the Transfer of Development Rights, also called PDRs, Purchase of Development Rights, that the state has a lot of funding available for that, and that's something for us to consider. And again, it's probably going to be in the agricultural focus group at least starting. So it was a nice letter to get. The gentleman who signed it is a very high-up gentleman in the Ag and Markets Department, and it's nice to see that they actually like some of the things that we've done. One of the things we're going to be doing in the next several weeks has to do with budgeting. We're having a meeting this week. Ed and I will be meeting with the department heads this week and discussing their requests. One of the next steps that has to happen after that is a work session amongst the board members, and I would propose that for October 12th, a Wednesday, October 12th, here as a work session. It would be a public work session. We would just be bringing in the department heads one by one, but I don't know if that works for the board. Do we need to make a motion on that as a public work session? I think so. So I'm going to make that motion for October 12th here.
What time is that, Bob?
Usually we start right at about 7. It does take a while that night. Oh, it's not a board meeting. It makes it hard for Art to get in. Go ahead, Larry.
If we could get here a little earlier, I mean, 6:36 would be better, maybe.
It's really, Art, can you make that? Okay, so if we went the 12th, Wednesday night is usually a good night for us. So 6:30 then on the 12th? I'll modify my motion to 6:30 on the 12th. I do need a second. Second by Art. All in favor? This would be for the department heads to come in and after we've already gone through it with Ed and I, it gives you guys your opportunity of asking similar questions or other questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. So Kathy will put out on the paper that that's going to happen on the 12th. I did mention before I met with DOT, so I won't go any further into that. They did show some level of concern. They also showed some level of, they think that the road is fine the way it is. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. What they do recommend is that we do more enforcement, and that's something that we could consider. That would be a question at budgeting time. It's just very hard for us to come up with that additional money under the tax cap. So I'm done. No. Parking tickets and certain things that they might see, but not speeding tickets. They're not trained for it. And I don't know that we want our constables riding up and down the road. We do have a couple who are trained for it. That's all I have, so we'll go back to public input. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on any subject? Get another 3 minutes, John?
Yeah, we'll go for that. In regards to you spotting those cars in that train, it's called a manifest train. And they run them through, and then after a period of time they take and say that, well, we've already been running these cars, these DOT 111s. And you'll find them mostly going to be marked 1267 or other explosive material in it, because all the cars that they have they're using for moving oil. It's just, even cars, the accident in Quebec was caused by an engine that had a crack in it, and the epoxy that they used to repair the engine melted, started a fire. Fire burned the hose, caused an air leak. The fire department put out the fire. The air let off on the air brakes, and the train rolled into town. The other engine was perfectly fine. Nobody thought of running that engine, but nobody also told the engineers and stuff that the train crew that was at the motel across the street that they had a fire on their train. So the first responders had no idea that, number one, it was a bomb train, and number two, that it caused an air leak, and number three, that the train was going to roll into town. Once they start getting these going across, which they're doing now, as you said, and I've seen them myself, you're going to take some videos of them and that, then they tell the Railroad Commission, no, we already been running these cars on it because they're considered an individual. Then they run unit trains, which are 100 cars to 150 cars. And then you're talking about 12 to 15,000 tons on the Lewiston, or the Whirlpool Bridge at once. And you wonder if it was designed for having those type of loads put on it. It's something that really is scary, because if the bridge collapses while one of those unit trains are on it, it's going to go down into the gorge. You're never going to get the oil out. It's going to burn for days. But it's you've got 3 million gallons of crude, bulk Bakken crude, going into Lake Ontario. It's going to ruin the drinking water, bathing water, etc. for 70 million people. One train. So we have to take it into consideration and say, hey, wait, what's going on? And these people that live within a half a mile are just going to get blown away if it derails over at Liberty Drive on the curve. And that's where they derail, on the curve. Oh, and we have a dehydrator going in there that has a tremendous amount of fracking gas coming through. Derail right on the curve, right into it.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else on any subject? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?